I've recently been thinking about the decline of the humanities and the general unhappiness of people nowadays. People are unhappy and stressed, and we live in a society where friendships are thinning, relationships fracture, everyone becomes more self-centered, and a lot of people seem to be dragging themselves through the week, postponing life until the weekend. I got inspired making this video because of an essay that I read called Culture and Anarchy by Matthew Arnold. I'm also going to be drawing from one of Oscar Wilde's essays and also a little bit of Schopenhauer, because I've been reading him over the past week and it is frightening how relevant it is to this video. So let's talk about the relationship between unhappiness and the decline of culture. So materially speaking, humans have never lived in such luxury as we live in today. And we have more luxury than the aristocrats and kings of the past could only dream of. But despite the abundance, people feel spiritually exhausted, and I don't mean this in a religious way, I mean this in a deeply human way, and they feel overstimulated, unhappy, and exhausted. And it's not really surprising if you think about it, because we are losing what makes us human. We are losing culture, we are losing nature and quietness and learning and beauty. And when you exchange those things for passive consumerism, then you are actively sabotaging yourself. Here is a quote from one of Oscar Wilde's essays, and I highly recommend you reading it. He warns about the danger of confusing a man with what he possesses. The important thing is not to possess, but to be. The true perfection of man lies not in what he has, but in what man is. Being naturally ambitious, he makes it his aim to accumulate this property and goes on wearily and tediously accumulating it long after he has got far more than he wants or can use or enjoy or perhaps even know of. Man will kill himself by overwork in order to secure property, and really, considering the enormous advantages that property brings, one is hardly surprised. One's regret is that society should be constructed on such a basis that man has been forced into a groove in which he cannot freely develop what is wonderful and fascinating and delightful in him, in which, in fact, he misses the true pleasure and joy of living. Online, I see so much apathy and so much, I don't want to do anything but scroll on TikTok. It's the only thing that keeps me going. It's the only thing that makes me happy. And those reactions get thousands of hearts, thousands of likes. It's not a minority that feels this way. We don't trust each other anymore, and society has become very individualistic, fragmented, and suspicious. It's important to remember that no one harms us more than we harm ourselves. And the pollution that we allow into our minds every day cannot be, the cost of it cannot be underestimated. And I agree here with Matthew Arnold and Oscar Wilde and Schopenhauer even, that culture is medicine, that thought and beauty and self-cultivation is medicine. And I do meet fewer and fewer people who have hobbies and who value art and cultivate curiosity, which is so baffling to me because we live in the age with the biggest access to information. Never before have we had more access. We can read almost everything, we can study almost everything, we can educate ourselves for free. People of the past dreamed of this abundance. They dreamed of a world in which culture would be free for everyone. And they also believed that it would benefit humanity. Matthew Arnold said, "The best man is he who most strives to perfect himself, and the happiest man is he who most feels that he is perfecting himself." So Arnold is saying self-cultivation is a joy. People have lost the joy of learning, the pleasure of reading, the beauty of art, the nourishment of nature, and the satisfaction of self-improvement. And Arnold believed that culture is the pursuit of our best selves. Happiness comes from inner growth, and society decays from the moment people stop cultivating themselves. People are unhappy because they're not perfecting themselves. They're not perfecting themselves because they are overstimulated and undernourished. And they're undernourished because they replaced culture with consumption. And the cure is what Arnold called sweetness and light. It is a return to thought, art, beauty, nature, and reading. Why is there so little interest nowadays in picking up a new hobby, browsing art, reading poetry, or reading in general? Or, just taking a walk after work instead of sitting before the TV. It is, of course, time and energy. It seems like the passive activity is what you need to restore yourself, but it actually drains us further, and it stimulates us, but not in a good way. We all know that shorts content and social media in general is very addictive. It divides us, it makes us insecure, it makes us buy stuff that we don't need. But most of the influencers that you will watch, they're just lying to you, and all they want is to sell you the products that they're using in their videos. They want your money. They are after your money and not your well-being. We are fed like little birds, and we are taking it in, and we are wasting our time and our money. And our time should not be wasted. It is quite striking what Oscar Wilde had to say about machines. He was writing this at the end of the 19th century. And he said, "At present, machinery competes against man. Under proper conditions, machinery will serve man. There is no doubt at all that this is the future of machinery. And just as trees grow while the country gentleman is asleep, so while humanity will be amusing itself, or enjoying cultivated leisure, which, and not labor, is the aim of man, or making beautiful things, or reading beautiful things, or simply contemplating the world with admiration and delight, machinery will be doing all the necessary and unpleasant work. The fact is that civilization requires slaves. The Greeks were quite right there. Unless there are slaves to do the ugly, horrible, uninteresting work, culture and contemplation become almost impossible. Human slavery is wrong, insecure, and demoralizing. On mechanical slavery, on the slavery of the machine, the future of the world depends." And reading this paragraph almost broke me, because he imagines a future where machines do all the unpleasant work, where humans are free to cultivate themselves, where leisure is not laziness, but the aim of man, and where beauty, art, and contemplation and learning become central to life. We have the machines now. We have the luxury. We have the free time, and we have access to knowledge. And instead of becoming more cultivated, we are becoming more distracted. So yes, Oscar Wilde also saw the importance of beauty and culture to humanity. But the tragic thing is that not only do machines the work that we don't want to do, they also now do, with the coming of artificial intelligence, they do the things that make us human. They do the most beautiful things, which is making art. So not only do they take away the things that we don't want to do, they especially take away the things that are worth doing, which is art. Now, I've mentioned at the beginning of the video that I've been reading Schopenhauer, and it was kind of an accident that he was talking about the same issues in this essay that I was reading. And I last minute made some notes because I really wanted to include this in this video as well. But so he says that happiness is grounded not in possessions, but in the inner life, in leisure, in cultivation of the mind, and in the full use of one's natural gifts. And he divides happiness into 3 categories. The first one is what we are. The second one is what we have, and the third one is what we represent. What we are is our character, our intellect, our temperament, and our inner riches. What we have are material possessions, and what we represent is reputation, status, and fame. And he argues that the first category, what we are, is the only one that truly matters. Everything else is unstable, dependent on others, and endlessly escalating in desire. Why did leisure matter so much to Schopenhauer? He says that leisure is necessary for any meaningful inner life. Without free time, one cannot think, one cannot read, one cannot create, contemplate, or develop one's intellectual and moral capacities. So he's basically saying leisure is the soil in which our mind grows. And I want to share a quote. He says, "Riches are like seawater. The more you drink, the thirstier you become," which is so well said. And he also says that you will eventually want more and more and more, but it will never really satisfy you. He also really believed that self-development is a real path to happiness, cultivating the intellect, using one's talents. So if you're good at something, do something with it, deepening your character, and living in harmony with one's nature. These are states of happiness that do not depend on other people. Now, this all is not to say that life is easy and that we have endless time and energy. The things that we turn to for comfort are the things that make us more exhausted and maybe even sick. And I think we need to cling to these small moments of art and culture and thinking and reading and reflecting and just culture in general. They make us human again and they make us feel better. And I believe it will make people less angry and frustrated and overstimulated. So yes, I hope we can inspire each other to read and think and reflect and to embrace small, beautiful and meaningful moments. My promise to you is that I will continue making videos like these where I try to inspire to read more or to start reading again. I will continue making guides and share my journey with you all. We don't all have to be scholars or artists. But we do need to find those small moments again, those moments of quietness and beauty in art. Let's inspire each other, let's help each other, and if you have any advice for other people in the comment section, please drop them down below. I think we form a wonderful, thoughtful community, and I'm sure that we can help and inspire each other. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.